Human is the fantastic motion picture record of the search for the mountain creature of Asia, whose name has become a symbol of terror and mystery. The Abominable Snowman. This is the claw that reaches out to kill. And this is the footprint in the snow, so astounding that scientific laboratories throughout the world are rocked by its startling impact.
This is a mold taken from the footprint found outside the cabin door. By measuring the width, the length, and the depth of the print, their composite picture described the species as being 9 feet tall and weighing around 1,800 pounds.
What did Tanaka say?
Well, he was convinced in his mind that the hair follicle was closer to that of man than to that of any other animal known to exist.
Now you can follow the relentless pursuit of the half-human monster whose earth-rocking fury broke the torturing bonds of his civilized tormentors. Half-human, he learned the terrifying power of fire over the natives who worshipped him. Half-human, he set off an avalanche of destruction against the invaders of his mountain kingdom. Half-human, he still felt the surging need for human love.
The following is a paid advertisement. Really? A paid advertisement? Wait, the B-Movie Cast got paid? Yes, the following is a paid advertisement. This episode of the B-Movie Cast is brought to you by the estate planning services of Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law. Remember, when the zombie apocalypse comes, things will move pretty fast.
The body should be disposed of at once, preferably by cremation.
Well, how long after death, then, does the body become reactivated?
It's only a matter of minutes.
Minutes? Well, that doesn't give people time to make any arrangements.
Oh, you're right. It doesn't give them time to make funeral arrangements. The bodies must be carried to the street and burned. They must be burned immediately. Soak them with gasoline and burn them. The bereaved will have to forego the dubious comforts that a funeral service will give. They're just dead flesh and dangerous.
So don't leave your estate planning needs until the last minute, because you don't know when that last minute could come. Call Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law, at 859-351-2294. That's 859-351-2294. Remember, when you go, you don't want people saying,
"Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up."
Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law, is licensed for practice in the state of Kentucky. Consult your local attorney for matters outside of the state of Kentucky.
Command mark. The time will be running at X-20 seconds. Mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire.
Spawned by the continuing decline and fall of society as we know it, and created on the second-floor spare-bedroom studio in the Piedmont of South Carolina. Podcasting on a shoestring budget and changing the world one freak at a time. It's the B-Movie Cast with your host, Vince Rotolo.
From coast to coast and worldwide via the internet, this is the B-Movie Cast, the podcast of unusual film and television.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to the B-Movie Clubhouse again for episode 524 of the B-Movie Cast. Before I go any farther, I want to get our contact information out of the way. We love hearing from all of you, so we have a feedback segment devoted to your comments and suggestions, and this is how you can contact us. Option 1, pick up your phone and dial 888-936-0808. This is a toll-free number and a very easy way to leave a voice message. Option 2, you can make your own MP3 file and send it in to bmoviecast@gmail.com. Or use your smartphone voice software and record a call, then just send that in as an attachment instead. Or option 3, if you're not into talking, you can just shoot us an email to bmoviecast@gmail.com. Our website is bmoviecast.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast. It's free, and there you can join us on the Facebook B-Moviecast fan page and letterbox. Also, you can play the contest by sending in your answer by email to bmoviecast@gmail.com with contest in the subject line. And check out the links while you're there, or buy a t-shirt. I currently have smalls to 4Xs. If you want to help us financially, there's a donation box you can click on as a supporter on the Lugosi, Karloff, Agar, and the infamous Xanadu level through PayPal. Also, the easiest way to donate is to click on the Amazon bar on the right side of our homepage. This Amazon link will take you to Amazon.com to make your purchase. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can still log into your personal accounts when you get there. It's completely private, so think about us before you buy online. We have our co-host from Lexington, Kentucky, author, editor, screenwriter, film producer, Nick Brown. He has a new website, and it is authornickbrown.com. That's AUTHORNICBROWN.com. He's the author of the Werewolf for Hire series starting with Blood Curse. He's also selling a series of books in collaboration with his wife, Fiona Young Brown, called the B-Movie Cookbooks. All of these are available on Amazon. He has produced 3 movies. The first 2 are Wretch and Loss Prevention, both of which could be ordered on Blu-ray or DVD through Amazon. And he is also the producer of the award-winning film Fall of Usher, which is now available for purchase or rental on iTunes and Amazon streaming. Also joining us today is Juan from the Creepy Swamps. His new and improved website is up and running now. It's called fifthdimensionfilms.net. That's the number 5, THDIMENSIONFILMS.net. He has been a sci-fi horror convention fixture for 25 years now, selling everything from DVDs to posters and collectibles. He's done a documentary called Mexican Monsters on the March. It's a 6-part documentary describing Mexican cinema history, monsters, and of course Santo. It's available on Juan's website. And if you'd like to see Juan in his younger days, watch the movie Red Heat from 1988. Juan is the street thug in a green Paul's Junkyard t-shirt with a wig on and a heavy New York accent. Before I go any farther, I want to get our contact information out of the way. We love hearing from all of you, so we have a feedback segment devoted to your comments and suggestions, and this is how you can contact us. Option 1, pick up your phone and dial 888-936-0808. This is a toll-free number and a very easy way to leave a voice message. Option 2, you can make your own MP3 file and send it in to bmoviecast@gmail.com. Or use your smartphone voice software and record a call, then just send that in as an attachment instead. Or option 3, if you're not into talking, you can just shoot us an email to bmoviecast@gmail.com. Our website is bmoviecast.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast. It's free, and there you can join us on the Facebook B-Moviecast fan page and letterbox. Also, you can play the contest by sending in your answer by email to bmoviecast@gmail.com with contest in the subject line. And check out the links while you're there, or buy a t-shirt. I currently have smalls to 4Xs. If you want to help us financially, there's a donation box you can click on as a supporter on the Lugosi, Karloff, Agar, and the infamous Xanadu level through PayPal. Also, the easiest way to donate is to click on the Amazon bar on the right side of our homepage. This Amazon link will take you to Amazon.com to make your purchase. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can still log into your personal accounts when you get there. It's completely private, so think about us before you buy online. We have our co-host from Lexington, Kentucky, author, editor, screenwriter, film producer, Nick Brown. He has a new website, and it is authornickbrown.com. That's AUTHORNICBROWN.com. He's the author of the Werewolf for Hire series starting with Blood Curse. He's also selling a series of books in collaboration with his wife, Fiona Young Brown, called the B-Movie Cookbooks. All of these are available on Amazon. He has produced 3 movies. The first 2 are Wretch and Loss Prevention, both of which could be ordered on Blu-ray or DVD through Amazon. And he is also the producer of the award-winning film Fall of Usher, which is now available for purchase or rental on iTunes and Amazon streaming. Also joining us today is Juan from the Creepy Swamps. His new and improved website is up and running now. It's called fifthdimensionfilms.net. That's the number 5, THDIMENSIONFILMS.net. He has been a sci-fi horror convention fixture for 25 years now, selling everything from DVDs to posters and collectibles. He's done a documentary called Mexican Monsters on the March. It's a 6-part documentary describing Mexican cinema history, monsters, and, of course, Santo. It's available on Juan's website. And if you'd like to see Juan in his younger days, watch the movie Red Heat from 1988. Juan is the street thug in a green Paul's Junkyard t-shirt with a wig on and a heavy New York accent. Today's films are a merry pick. Woo! The Japanese and the American versions. So joining us today is, as our guest host, is Juan from the Creepy Swamps. And a big shout out and thanks to Juan for providing the DVD set. It contained both the Japanese subtitle film and the Americanized version. Yay! Yay! So, our movies today are the Japanese Yeti movie, Jūjin Yuki Otoko. I destroyed that. Sorry.
It wasn't terrible.
It was pretty good.
Terrible, Mary.
And that's from 1955. And shall we say a different American version was also made, and it's called Half Human from 1958. Japanese version was directed by the incredible Ishiro Honda, and the American version was by Kenneth G. Crane, but utilizing the original Honda footage. Be warned, Toho banned this movie shortly after it was released, so the only available print of the Japanese movie I've seen anywhere is the one with the blurred time code stamped across the top. It's very dark and murky at times, and I'm not sure how accurate the translation is, but the scenery is lush, the soundtrack is great, and as usual, you fall in love with the poor creature. But just get ready for long scenes of skiing, hiking, and cave exploring. I watched both of these on the DVD copy I got from Juan at fifthdimensionfilms.net. That's the number 5.
Where did you get it?
The number 5. THDIMENSIONFILMS.net. Okay, the same 1955 Japanese version is available to watch on archive.net. And Nick's going to post that link.
No, I'm not.
I didn't watch it, so I don't know if it's different. You better. I sent it to you.
Blowing right through it, aren't you?
No. I couldn't manage to find a streaming version of the 58 remake anywhere. I did manage to find a copy on Amazon on a VHS tape for $49.95.
I'm going to tell you that people should just go to fifthdimensionfilms.net and buy it from Juan rather than trying to stream it or purchasing a $50 VHS tape.
The American version and the Japanese version.
That's
there you go. You're getting all the versions.
Yeah.
And then it'll be a virgin sacrifice.
Ba-dum-bum. And they are 2 totally different movies to me. I mean, the storyline.
That's only because they're 2 different movies, Mary.
I mean, they even changed the storyline of it.
Well, they changed it a bit. I mean, they did that thing that they always did with Japanese movies, is they shoehorned a bunch of Americans in so that American audiences in the 50s would be willing to watch it.
Yeah, that's true. And the Japanese version was really hard for me to understand.
Well, that's because it was in Japanese, Mary. Nihongo shaberu koto dekimasu ka? Kuriyo.
Hey, you should. Okay, say the name of this movie.
No.
I want to see what it's supposed to sound like.
Well, you were not far off from it, Mary. Okay, it's Jūjin Yuki Otoko, and Jūjin is when you put "gene" on the end of something, that usually is like a person. Okay, so for example, the rude way to say a foreigner in Japanese is gaijin, which guy is kind of like outside, and Gene is person. So here that's Jūjin, which kind of translates to tree man or forest man, and then Yuki is snow, and Otoko is person.
Okay.
So the literal title of this is something to the effect of tree man, forest man, whatever, and then snowman. And then the way I see it commonly translated from this is beast man, snowman.
Yeah.
So it's just got a lot of man in the title.
I got to tell you that I think the VHS copy of that does have that original title in there. The American, it's got Beastman, Snowman, but the DVD version that you got, Mary, does say that it's half
human. That explains why I keep seeing Beastman, Snowman everywhere as the translation for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that didn't make any sense to me either. And did anybody else have trouble trying to figure out what actor was what and who they were to each other?
Well, actually, there was only 4 actors, main actors in the film. 3 of them were very well-known actors that went on to, Eiji Tsuburaya used them in the Godzilla movies. Akira Takarada was the main guy. He did a drama before he did this movie, and Ishiro Honda offered him the role if he wanted to be in this movie. He said, sure, it's like the first, before he did Godzilla, that is. So he did, Godzilla, the very first Godzilla movie. Remember, he was the diver in that first movie. So, he, Takarada took the role in this film based on, Eiji Tsuburaya, because he wanted to have prominent actors and actresses that were already coming up in the early 50s in Japan doing films. Toho was doing a lot of, non-sci-fi horror movies. They were doing dramas, romances, comedies. And this is before they even when Godzilla kicked in, it just changed everything. They went straight with the 50s apocalyptic nuclear sci-fi thing with Godzilla. So they kept it at that.
Yeah.
So they kept these actors.
I read Akira Takarada was nicknamed Mr. Handsome.
Yeah.
He's cute.
Well, they didn't give him that that nickname because he looked like a troll.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
I had the opportunity to meet Akira Takarada twice in person, and he autographed a poster that I had of The Last War and one of the other movies that he did, not the Godzilla one, but he was at the Spooky Empire back on, I think it was like 2016 he was there. And then I met him originally. The first time I saw him was at the G-Fest.
Yeah.
It was called Godzilla Fest in Chicago back in 2012. And that's the first time I met Akira Takarada.
Yeah.
Very good looking gentleman in a suit, real, very, very dressed up in a suit and a tie. His English was very well. He spoke very good English.
Yeah.
And,
also read he's called the godfather of the G-Fest because he went every year.
Oh, really? I don't know if he went every year or not, but I know that was the first time that I met him there. And then he was at Spooky Empire with Haru Nakajima. Haru Nakajima was the original Godzilla. He was there with him. He was there with about 2 or 3 of the other Godzilla guys in the suit from Destroyer and the other Godzillas, and he was there. So it was really an honor meeting him, man. And he was, really nice gentleman, really nice guy, and he spoke good English. And, he says that he enjoyed doing, because he didn't do every single Godzilla movie, His filmography is pretty stemmed with the romantic movie that he did. He did a drama in 55, I think in 56. He did Godzilla. and then he did this movie, and then he went on to do after war, The Last War, which is a very nice poster that I have. It's about it's about a disaster movie about the end of the world and stuff like that, and he was in that. And then he was in Mothra versus Godzilla and a few other, like 4 or 5 other Godzilla movies before he went on to do the final. I think the last Godzilla movie he did was back in 2014. It was the last appearance, the last of him being in one of the Godzilla films.
Yeah,
He passed away a couple years ago. I didn't realize that, that he had passed away in 2022.
Wow. Well, he's supposed to be the only one that appeared in all 4 eras of the Godzilla franchise.
Yeah.
It's a shame he's gone. Wow.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man. And to be in this, he was very young in this movie. Like I said, this was like his second. He did Godzilla first, and then he did this one, and it was his second or third movie in Toho. They kept him. He was like one of those contract players. Like Jack Arnold had all the contract players for the 50 sci-fi movies. Well, Toho and Ishiro Honda had Hiro Takarada as one of the main contract players for their films.
Okay, before we go any further, I want to get the contest out of the way.
We have a contest?
Yes, we do.
I bet you're going to give away mystery prizes, Mary, because you lost your prize list.
I don't know where it is. Okay, the answer is Nightmare Alley from 1947. Yes. And I know that the first prize was from Santitito.
It's a mystery prize anyway.
Kenny B, and it's a mystery prize anyway, so I don't have to worry about what it is.
Well, you don't worry about what any of them are, Mary. Come on. It's a prize.
That's true. Okay. The first winner is Mike Shadurlo. So he gets the Santitito. I need a new bucket. I just broke my bucket. Okay.
Take a bucket, Mary.
My bucket.
Mary, have you seen a doctor about that? A broken bucket can be dangerous.
It could be. I might cut myself on this thing. Okay. The second prize is the Mummy Trilogy, and this is from Patrick Kelly. Thank you, Patrick. This Blu-ray is a triple feature. It includes The Mummy Returns, The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, and they're all starring Brendan Fraser. The third film in the series grossed almost $500 million, but also earned about $500 million jeers from the critical community. And that's I'm quoting Patrick Kelly there.
That's a reasonable quote.
Yes. And the winner is Christine Collingwood.
Hey.
Okay. Wow. Right. Congrats.
Okay. And that's Patrick. I am instead going to give you, Christine, the Phantasm Blu-ray from Phil Pine.
Why are you doing that?
Because Christine lives in the UK. And I'm not.
Oh, wow. So you don't want to mail her something. You're going to have to pay postage.
No, I'll mail her Phantasm because I have that one because Phil Pine gave that one to me to give away.
Oh, but
I don't think
Patrick is the one who's mailing it.
Yeah, he mails stuff from Amazon, and I'm not sure if the Amazon UK. I don't know how that works. So
now that would be challenging. Plus, okay, but. Let's make a pause here for a second.
What?
She's in the UK, Mary.
Yes.
Different region Blu-rays. I was going to say, Mary, why don't we just have give me Christine's email, and I will give her an ebook.
Oh, okay. Christine, you just won an ebook from our great co-host.
Nick. Who?
Nick.
Okay, thank you. I was feeling like you didn't remember my name there for a second, Mary.
Down at the same time, and my brain wouldn't do two things at the same time. So, boy, do I have this page all scribbled up. I wonder if I'm going to understand any of it now. Okay, then our third prize is going to be the Mummy Trilogy.
And by the way, you probably really wanted the Mummy Trilogy, so I hope you're happy you disappointed Christine.
Well, Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Pete Stima, you get the Mummy trilogy.
Lucky.
From Patrick. Okay. And the one last prize is the one from Phil Pine, and that's the Phantasm Blu-ray, Phantasm Ravager. It's the last one of the series. There are 4 of them, I think. No, 5th. This is the 5th one in the series. And it's a Blu-ray, and all the original members of the cast are back for this one. So. And the winner is. It's Paul White from Canada. So
oh my God!
We'll be mailing this to Canada.
Well, congratulations, Mary.
We get yeah. Congrats to the Canadian winner there and the UK winner. And are we going to have a winner from maybe from China or from Puerto Rico or from another country?
Hey, they send something in. I'm going to send it.
Well, here's the thing. In Canada, they use the same region for Blu-ray as we do.
Yeah.
So at least he'll be able to watch it.
Yeah. Okay, it's over. Oh, that was hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a lot of trouble.
And now I have to get another bucket. Oh, well. On with the show.
This is all a tragedy, Mary.
I know. What were we doing? Oh, we were talking about this movie.
What were we doing, Mary?
I don't know. I'm on so much cold medication right now. I can barely.
Oh, wow. You sure that's the only thing you're on, Mary?
Yeah. No,
You've been sniffing glue again, haven't you, Mary?
I wanted to try some of that bourbon before I sent it to you, but.
Well, that would be. Oh, by the way, thank you. Mary sent me a very nice bottle of Moonlight Mayhem bourbon from Filmland Studios Distillery.
That is really cool.
If you would like some, there's a link on the website.
Oh, cool. Those are some really cool bottles. I really like that's a neat idea to get for somebody that's into monster films.
Yes, it is. And I actually got a bottle of Rise of the Robots, which is their rye whiskey, for Bill Mize for Christmas, because Bill is always having us over to his place to drink and eat stuff.
Wow. I'm getting that feedback again.
I know you are.
Okay.
Oh, we can bypass the feedback and try to get through the show.
Well, she means feedback that we're hearing.
Yeah,
okay.
That echo that I'm hearing.
Oh, I got my iPad turned off.
Don't know what it is. Maybe I got it. You have the volume up on your iPad?
He has his iPad turned off, Mary.
Well, no, he still has it, so he's looking at it. So turn the volume down on your iPad. And then that way... Oh, no, that won't work either. Oh, I give up.
Mary.
What? Just get on with it, Doug. What?
I don't know. I'm just tired and have to get up really early tomorrow morning. So,
let's get on with this.
We'll do a quick, if you want, I could do the little quick intro here on some of the cast.
Yeah.
There's only 3 or 4 of them. I'll do this real quick. And on the director, we know,
right,
of course, the director.
I tell you what, hold on. Hey, Juan, let's do
yes,
that.
Sir.
I'm going to do a countdown of 5, 4, 3, and give it a couple of beats. That way I'll have something to edit all this stuff out.
Okay,
So,
all right.
Okay, ready? And 5, 4.
And what we're going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about the film. You know, as far as the cast, it's only like a few, 2 or 3 of the cast members, and the director and the special effects guy behind this, because is very, very credential. Of the creation of Toho was done by none other than Ishiro Honda, who was he was a Japanese filmmaker that has been around. He's been around for almost a half a century. Started out in the 1920s doing. There was silent movies that he was actually involved with, semi-directing and producing in Japan back in the day. But his big break came when he started doing the Godzilla franchise. Before he did that, though, in the early 50s and the late 40s, he was doing a lot of drama and war films. He did a lot of war films. Japan. They were Toho films. The company that he created back in the late 40s. So and when after the war films and all the dramas, and he did some comedy. When Godzilla came in 1954, Ishiro Honda, he went on and teamed up with the special effects master or the director Eiji Tsuburaya. Now Eiji Tsuburaya, he was also a very great filmmaker, cinematographer. He had everything that it took, and he was the co-creator of Godzilla. So between the mind of Eiji Tsuburaya and Ishiro Honda, they created the comic menace back in '54. Amidst of everything that was going on during the nuclear age of the '50s.
Wait, you missed Tomoyaku Yuki Tanaka.
Who?
Tomoyuki Tanaka. He was the producer. Honda was the director.
Oh, okay.
Bara was the special effects man.
Yeah.
The composer was Ifukubi.
Yeah.
And those
four.
You
also had Hiroshi Inagaki, who was also involved with the direction too with Ishiro. But either way, to make a long story short, these two guys created, what it is today is the legend of Toho, and all of these films that went on throughout the what they started naming them by different they had the how do you call it, different series through the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and up to the Millennium series, which is the 2000s. Up to this day today, they're still making the film. So the Tsuburaya, he did over 250 films in his career, really spanned like almost 10 years, 7 to 10 years. And that's why he was his special effects with him. It was a great combination for the two guys teaming up together to do the films. So I mean, kudos to the both of them. And Toho became a household name now, and it's such a great following of Godzilla because they created a legend in itself in Japan. With the kaiju, the creation of the kaiju monster was born from these two guys. And also, just to mention that Tsuburaya was also he was involved in tokusatsu films. Tokusatsu was a series of films that he had to do with yakuza, crime films, action films, and a little bit of martial arts, believe it or not. So those were the genres. It was the kaiju and the tokusatsu genres that he was involved with. But the big thing was the kaiju, which was the Godzilla films. Got to say that Eiji Tsuburaya, he did eight or nine Godzilla films that he was involved with. And, Ishiro Honda retired from filmmaking in 1975. But then, you had other people like Akira Kurosawa, that persuaded him of, Akira Kurosawa. He was also big into the Japanese samurai films too. He told him to come out of retirement and go back and do some more films. So he did. So I tell you, these guys were, they're legends, and they're very well known, and their names are going to be around forever. I mean, as long as the name Godzilla stays in, Ishiro Honda and Eiji Tsuburaya are the kings. So the stars of the film in this movie, there's only, to me, two main stars. There's actually four. There's four of them, but the ones that I'm going to talk about, if you want to talk about the other ones, we can. But The two main stars is Akira Takarada and Momoko Kochi, who was the girl in the film. Of course, we mentioned that Takarada, he was involved with this film. He came in 1954, and he did Godzilla, and then right after that, Ishiro Honda says, well, I want to keep you to do Half Human. Half Human was not a kaiju film, but then it was like a sort of like a science fiction type movie based on an actual legend of Japan, and this is one of the reasons why maybe the movie might have been banned, in Japan because of the nature of the elements containing the natives and things like that in the film. You know what I mean?
What I read was that they were afraid that there was a union of Burakuman.
Okay.
Natives.
I'm
that
gonna
they were afraid
step
of.
in on this, Mary.
Okay.
Because your pronunciation is kind of killing me.
Okay.
Love you to bits, but it's killing me.
Okay.
No, it's okay.
Take it from the expert.
Actually, you were right though. They are the Burakuman, and the Burakuman is kind of a group of. They're supposed to be descendants of the pre-Meiji era feudal class, and they're kind of considered to be the descendants of people who were doing the less savory jobs. So things like undertakers, executioners, people that worked in butchers or tanners.
Weren't they also on like some really northern island? So they were not.
Well, there's the island of Hokkaido, which is where a lot of them were, but they were also supposedly in the central mountainous regions of Japan as well.
Oh, okay.
And this is actually, the film is set, this snow area that they were going to is, I believe, Nagano, which listeners may recognize as the place where the 1998 Winter Olympics were held. And Nagano's actually where I learned to ski. So there's that. So the skiing up there is really good. And there are a lot of remote locations in that prefecture. Do I think it's remote enough for something like this? No, but that's neither here nor there. This is a movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole thing that there's kind of this. There was a stigmatized group, and it's interesting because there are a group of Japanese within the Japanese that were kind of being persecuted or had a bad reputation, might be the best way to put it. And it's all based on what their ancestors did back in the Meiji era. Now,
is it something like the caste system in India?
A little bit like the caste system, but it's different. And it's really complicated, and I don't want to just completely butcher it. But I think the best thing to do would be to look this up. Now, when you were talking about the island and the Northern Island peoples, really that is the Inuit, INU peoples, and they were kind of the indigenous Japanese people.
Okay.
But that goes back a long way.
Okay.
Because, Japan's kind of isolated anyway. So, but they are not the Burakuman.
Okay.
The Burakuman.
Okay.
Yeah, they're different.
Okay. So I read the Honda biographer Steve Rifle and Ed Godzwitsky suggested the film was not released to avoid backlash from the Burakuman rights group. It's the Buraku Liberation League, and they were putting pressure on them. Because I read somewhere that was like popular dissent. That when they released it, people were offended. But then I read that too, so I don't know which is the real reason why they.
Well, it's possible.
Yeah, I don't know why they ended up doing that. I think I figured out where it's coming from.
What, this feedback?
Yeah.
Well, where's it coming from, Mary?
Juan, do you have your phone on speaker?
Yeah, I do.
Maybe that's it.
That's possible.
Should I take it off a speaker?
Yeah, and just stick it up to your ear.
Oh, okay.
See if
wow,
that
I gotta hold the phone.
Yeah, you can hold the phone up to your ear.
Okay, well, if I take it off speaker, it's not gonna kick me off of Skype?
No, it's not going to kick you off Skype. Unless you hang up.
No, I got. There is my volume there. I can mute the volume, but you can hear me.
Do that. See if that
Well,
works.
let's see. Keep talking, Mary.
Oh, he just went away.
And we're still getting it.
I know. His picture went away, though. Are you still there, Juan?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. I just don't see your picture anymore. But that's fine. I don't need to see your picture as long as you can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly fine.
Can you hear Nick?
I can't hear you.
Yeah,
I'm
I
kidding.
can hear.
I can hear
Nick.
You can?
I can.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. That's what it was, and we were getting feedback from his speaker.
Okay, no problem then. So yeah, I turned it off.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the picture went away, so you're gonna have my Wolfman picture, then my werewolf picture.
Yeah, that's fine. We don't use pictures anyway on this.
Okay.
You don't.
Okay. Are you going to count down again, so?
I am.
Okay. I'm sorry, Nick.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
And 5, 4, 3.
So basically, what I was saying, as far as Akira Takarada's career, how he started out in motion pictures in Japan with under the belt of Ishiro Honda and Eiji Tsuburaya. He went on to do, like I said, he did the first film that he did. He started his film career in '54, and he had a couple of movies that he did before Godzilla. Then he did the very first one was Godzilla. And because Honda and both Tsuburaya liked his performance and the acting in Godzilla, that's why they picked him to do the following year to do Half Human. So from then on, he went on a hiatus, believe it or not. He wasn't doing any more of the kaiju films until about the early 60s. He had like a 5 or 6 year gap. He was doing a bunch of other movies. He was doing dramas. He was doing romantic movies. He was doing things not basically kaiju monster movies. And in 1961, he came back. Toho said, well, we want you back. We want to do a science fiction film, which is entitled The Last War. And that's where they brought Takarada back to do the role of Takano in The Last War, which is an apocalyptic science fiction film that Toho did in '61. So then from then on, he became a household name because after that, in '64 he did Mothra versus Godzilla, and then in '60 every year he was doing a kaiju film.
Wow.
In between the kaijus, he was doing a couple of other movies. Like he did, believe it or not, he did one of the spy films that Ishiro Honda was involved with. It was called Iron Finger. He did that. He was like a spoofing on secret agents and stuff like that. He did that.
Yeah.
But then when he do the Godzilla films from '65, he went through '66, '67. He did a lot of the films in what they call, there was different eras for all of the kaiju films. And I will mention this. The '54 Godzilla started the era of what they call the Showa era. Now, the Showa era in Japan was the era between 1954 and 1974. So for those first 20 years was the Showa era.
Okay.
And so he was involved pretty much, with much of the Showa era, and he was also involved with not much of the Heisei the Heisei series. The Heisei series was the '90s. He did one movie in '69. I think it was with Cesar Romero called Latitude Zero. He was in that. But then in 1993, He did Godzilla versus Mothra, which was the beginning of the high size series in Japan. So he did that, and then he jumped up to the Millennium series in the 2000s. That was the era of Millennium series for the Godzilla films. And his big comeback was Final Wars in 2004. Boy, that was a great movie. He was really good in that. I really enjoyed him in that Godzilla Final Wars in 2004. And then after that, he had a big hiatus and he came back to do the last Godzilla film in 2014, which was like the crummy one we didn't like that much. He was the Japanese agent in that one. It was a deleted scene that he had in the movie. But anyway, that was Akira Takarada, and like I said, he did a lot of TV stuff, which I'm not going to go into. And he was also big on animation, and he did some dubbing for live action movies. I don't know how he got the role to do two of the Matt Helm movies. He dubbed. I don't know whose character he dubbed in the Ambushers and Murderers Row, the Dean Martin movies, but he was doing dubbing stuff.
Wow.
So that's Akira. So basically, the gal in this movie, real quick, is her name is Momoko Kochi. Or
she's his girlfriend in the movie, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. You can say it's Kochi Momoko or Kochi Momoko. So they had, her real name was Kochi, but I guess she was born Okochi. They took that O out and left it as Okochi, but Momoko. But anyway, she was in the original Godzilla film, and again because she combined really well with Akira in doing the role of Godzilla. He says, "Okay, I want to cast you as the female lead for Half Human." So she's in this movie as the lead for this second movie. She didn't do too many of the kaiju movies though. I got to say that Momoko, one of the roles that I liked her in was in the Mysterians. She was really good in that one. That was the one back in 1995. The Mysterians was in 1960s, but she was also in Godzilla versus Destroyer. She was in that one.
That was her final movie.
She did a couple of other of the, besides the first Godzilla and the Half Human. Everything else that she did was basically dramatic acting. She did a lot of Japanese films on the Indian country. And she played musicals and she did some romances and things like that until she did the Mysterians in 1957.
Okay.
So from then on, her last final film, believe it or not, that she did in the high size series was Godzilla versus Destroyer.
And that's the one where that was her very last film because she died of cancer after that.
Yeah, she did. It's sad, but she was a beautiful lady, and she was really good. Her acting roles, very good career that she had, doing films. Both Akira and Momoko didn't have a lot of films under the credit. Maybe they might have had 20 to 30 films in their credits. Not a whole lot. I mean, but like some of these stars that we know have 200 and 300 films under their credit, under their belt. But both Akira and her didn't have a big, but they were very successful because they did a lot of other things. She performing on stage, doing musicals and other things. So they had a pretty busy life. You know what I'm saying? Both of these actors. The other actor on here, which I know is Kemi Negishi, who was another Japanese actress. And she was basically, she was doing films early on in her career, but she basically did the partial filmography for some films back in the early 50s, and she had untitled credits in a lot of these movies. She was in A Rainbow Plays in My Heart. That's the one with also that Akira Takarada was in that one. And she was in King Kong versus Godzilla, 62. So those are the only two basically movies that she did in her career. She had a pretty good film career, but she really wasn't well known like Akira and like Momoko was.
Mm-hmm.
That was a Kemi Negishi. Okay, and those are the three that everybody else, besides the director and the special effects guy, IG, it's Toho is Toho, you know. But this is an enjoyable film.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, we're going to turn it over to Nick now.
Oh, wait a minute. There's a Tadashi Okabe.
Yeah.
He played
Yeah.
Tanaka. He played the one that died in the cave, her older brother.
Oh, okay.
The lead woman's older brother. He was in Godzilla and Rodan and Mothra and Invasion of the Aster Monsters and Destroy All Monsters, and he was in a whole bunch of stuff.
Like I said, they were, you know, a lot of these actors and actresses were basically, you know, they were like contract players for Toho throughout the you know, the 60s, 70s, 80s, you know, I mean, because they played well, their roles were very, very good. You know, and Natragon, you know, I mean, I watched all the movies, pretty much the entire 50 films that they did, and the millennial films I'm talking about, up to the Millennium series, because I have every single one. But I mean, I really enjoy all the movies, and I watch them over and over and over. Never get tired of them because they're great films. So yeah, I got to say that kudos to Toho and their founders.
Yeah, yeah. That Masaru Sato did the music and the score, and he did so much stuff for them. Of course, I loved him so much.
But you know, we also got to mention real quick the credits to the guys in the suits. You know, the guy that was in this Sachio Saki was the guy in the half human in the beast in the Abominable Snowman suit, Sanjiro Sagara. You know, he was the snowman.
He also had another. He was the guy that actually made the suit or designed the suit, wasn't he? His name was
kind of, yeah,
or something. Oh, what is his name? I'll find it somewhere. I'm looking at the book called Mushroom Clouds and Mushroom Men, The Fantastic
that's a good book.
Jiro Honda by Peter H. Brothers, and we had him on the show years ago.
Yeah.
We were going to start doing Godzilla films and stuff, and then I don't know what happened. We didn't.
Right.
Okay. This guy's name is Toshinori Ohasi.
Okay.
And he was billed as the actor Sanshiro Sagara.
Oh, okay.
But he's considered the father of Japanese monster suits. And he goes all the way back to 1938 when he did a King Kong costume for a lost parody film called King Kong Appears in Vito. 1930.
No, but I got to tell you, kudos and credits to these guys that built these costumes. You know, I mean, like Haruo Nakajima, believe it or not, the original Godzilla, he was smaller than me.
Mm-hmm.
He was like maybe not even 5 foot tall, 4'9", 4'10". I mean, he's a little guy, and he was the guy in the Godzilla suit, man. You know, so Tsuburaya did amazing special effects when he created the Godzilla and put Haruo Nakajima in that suit. I mean, in the book there it shows, you know, photos and stuff when he takes half of the suit off and you see him in there smoking. I mean, it's amazing. But, you know, all these actors that were in the suits, they have to have amazing credits to them too, because I know how it's like to be in a suit sweating up a storm doing a movie for 2 hours or 3 hours, you know.
That's true.
Yeah. So
well, and if you go onto the IMDb page for the film, you can actually see some pretty funny photos of, you know, Godzilla shaking hands with the Abominable Snowman from the.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And, you know, you just got to go on there and look. But yeah, I'm guessing they did some sort of publicity still with them both.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's cute. And the other thing you see is they did a bunch of really weird promotional photos for it. There's one with the daddy creature and the child creature, and the child one is riding on a small black bear like it's a pony. And it's it's just really weird, but you know.
I would love to see them bring this movie out and have it in like really, really high definition.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's supposed to be
I'm laughing
incredible.
because I doubt there's a print of it that exists being really high def.
Oh.
Oh.
That's supposed
Mary,
to be
it's
like
okay.
the best suit ever. It's like people say it's the best Yeti costume ever made.
Well, it's the only one that I've ever seen that has the Yeti with male pattern baldness.
And a face that moves. His face actually moves in it. I just thought it was really great.
No, it's a good suit.
Yeah.
Besides, the only thing that I got to say about the Contralt version, the American version, how they came about to wanting to do an American version, which was basically, it was a flop, but in a way, I mean, you had American actors in there, and of course, Morris Ankrum, he always got to be in these type of sci-fi monster movies. He's our main guy. He plays the general in all these movies. He's in the in John Caradine. To have John Caradine as the lead role narrator throughout the entire film, talking about their journey through the snow and all the way to the cabins and here, and in between showing the actual Japanese version of the film without them talking. You have to like go by what he says, and then they went here and they did this, they got that, But that's the reason why you needed to see the original version.
I know. They cut so much of it out.
Yeah, they did.
It's amazing. And you don't hear the music at all. There's no music.
Well, they have music, but it's different.
Well, yeah, it's not the real music. Yeah.
Well, it's music, so it exists. It's real. It's not a phantom.
True.
Yeah.
It's not the original soundtrack, Mary.
Yes.
But anyway, I decided to put them both together because anybody that sees the Japanese version, of course, with the subtitles, and it's got the cutout on the top, the bar that they has up there, and I guess that's because it was shot originally from the either the 16 or they took it from the 16 film or whatever 35 they took it from to be able to edit it down and put it on DVD with the subtitles. So I'm glad they did that because for many, many years, this was not available. This version was not available. Only that American really bad version with John Caradine, which nobody really kind of liked.
Yeah.
Well, and it was super short.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, compared to the Japanese version was like 95 minutes.
Yes.
And the John Caradine one was like just over an hour.
Yeah, it was, I think it was like 62 or 63 minutes.
Yeah, and, I mean, this is the thing. You had about, I'm guessing, 10 minutes of John Caradine, Russell Thorson, Robert Carnes kind of sitting around smoking cigarettes and listening to him talking.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it was the voiceover. But think about that. That means that half of the Japanese version ended up on the cutting room floor when they cut this together.
Yeah.
That's a lot of footage that got left out. Now, granted, a lot of it was just people skiing, apparently, but that's okay.
Hiking and
hiking and walking and a lot of walking and hiking and what are they doing over there? Looks like they're walking. We better show that because the audience isn't going to know how they got where they end up if we don't show them walking.
I know. Oh, we just lost Juan again.
Did we?
Yeah, I gotta call him back.
Oh man, this is
getting silly. Probably.
Hello.
So what happened? Hello? Juan?
Are you there?
Can you your phone's on mute, isn't it?
No, it's not on mute, Mary, because I just heard him say, "Are you there?"
Oh, that's true. Can you hear me?
Juan, can you hear me?
Hello?
Okay, I'm going to guess Juan can't hear us, Mary, so hang up, call him back.
Yes.
Papa, can you hear me? I've become Yentl.
Oh, please. They're playing that on HBO constantly anymore.
No, Beastmaster's what they play on HBO, man. Because it's Hey Beastmaster's on.
Can you hear me now? What happened?
Hello?
Can you hear me? No, you can't, can you? What could possibly be wrong now?
Please call me back. If you can hear me, call me back.
Call him back, Mary.
I'm going to call him on my damn phone. Okay, I'm calling you back. We can hear you.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? Why can't he hear?
My speaker, for some reason, I can't hear you at all now. I mean, I can hear you, but you're really far away. I don't know what I did. If I turned the speaker off, turned it on, or whatever, but I mean, I can't.
On your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, because the reason I called you back is you just dropped out completely.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
While I was talking, you mean? Okay.
Nick was talking, but we lost your feed.
Oh, okay. Well,
Well,
can you hear me now?
Hear him now.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, but I have to put the phone in my ear.
Okay.
Not in my ear, by my ear.
Okay. I have no idea how to fix that.
Can you hear us, Juan?
Can I turn the speaker on the phone? I mean, for the Skype. How do I do that?
Well,
I don't know.
Okay, our mic is working, so you should be able to hear us. Unless I just hang up with both of you and bring you both.
Why would you hang up with me? I'm working, Mary.
Because...
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can
hear you. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
So what I did is I turned the speakerphone back on, but real low. I put it on the lowest volume so I can hear you.
Okay.
So if you can hear me pretty good, then you're good to go. We're good to go. Then it's what it is. I turned my speakerphone off, and that's why I couldn't hear you, or you couldn't hear me.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
That's all right.
Start again.
And what were we talking about?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay, here, listen back. We had just finished talking about the cast and the directors. We were actually...
I was talking about something. I don't even remember what I was talking about.
We were joking about them. We were talking about the length of the movie.
Oh, that's
and how much they cut it.
So,
and Nick and I were talking about how there was so many scenes about skiing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. That's where you left off.
Okay. So, ready? 5, 4. Oh wait, I'm gonna start talking. So exactly. 5, 4. So anyway, yeah, if you watch the Japanese version, you will get more story than the American version. I mean, like I said, there's probably 30 minutes, well, at least 30 minutes of footage from the Japanese version that's on the cutting room floor, and I'd say it's closer to 50 minutes.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. They kind of captured most of the elements of it, but not the American version really does kind of gloss over a lot of it.
Yeah.
And, take it as you will.
Well, the Japanese version, Nick, real quick, was total of 97 minutes, 95 or 97 minutes, whereas 63 for the American. So there you go. You got like almost 30 minutes difference there.
Well, and also remember the American version has 10 or 15 minutes of those John Caradine and the other guys sitting around talking.
Yes.
So, he does the narration through the whole movie, and that's how they get around not paying to have the movie dubbed, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of paying for a bunch of voice actors, you just pay John Caradine to read a script, and
yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess that's one way to get around it, but
and there were those long skiing scenes that they probably thought Americans wouldn't want to sit through.
And yet they kept a bunch of them in.
I know.
That was the thing. It was all at the beginning of the movie. It was all skiing and hiking and all of this, but it was some very pretty scenery too.
Oh, yeah.
And for anybody who's ever been skiing in Japan, I could hear J-pop music in my head every time they did a skiing scene. Because I've never been to a ski resort in Japan where they weren't blaring J-pop music.
Oh, no.
It's just a thing. But anyway, and it's funny because they said it was set in Nagano, and I've skied a lot in Nagano. I didn't recognize any of it, but that doesn't shock me. What I did think was funny, though, was it reminded me much more of skiing in Hokkaido, which is the northernmost major island of Japan. And, we were up there in 98, the winter of 98, for the Sapporo Ice Festival in Sapporo, Japan, which Sapporo is also the home of Sapporo beer. So anyway, that's a whole lot of talk about nothing. So, so let's get to the movie. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you the plot synopsis for the Japanese version. For the American version, just take all of the character development that you might find in the film out and add in a lot of cigarette smoking by John Caradine. And that sums it up. Now,
true.
There is one interesting bit in the American version. At one point, they go down to a pathologist who has done an autopsy on a abominable snowman body.
Right.
And for that scene, they actually shipped over one of the suits to the studio in America. And so one of the creature suits was actually shipped over for that scene. And I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was on the table. You looked at it, you figured, well, that's it. That's the Yeti, but you're right. So they figured they had to have a link to showing what the creature looked like because they weren't actually doing it through the film with all this narration going back and forth between the four of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. And, like I said, I'm just going to do the Japanese version, which ironically is also told mostly through the form of flashbacks and storytelling.
Yes. I forgot to mention that. Yeah.
But with a distinct lack of John Caradine smoking cigarettes. So anyway, let's roll with it. So what you got? It's 1950s Japan, and you have 5 friends that have gone on a skiing holiday at New Year's. And, they are, and I'm not going to bother trying to name everybody because that's just going to be confusing as hell for me trying to keep up with everybody, but I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
So you got Takeshi Ejima, and he's got his girlfriend, Machiko Takeno, and her brother is Kiyoshi Takeno. And then they got a couple other friends, Nakata and Kaji. And they all go skiing, and Kiyoshi, the brother of Machiko, and that's important, Kiyoshi and Kaji, they decide to go visit a guy they know out living in a cabin, I guess. And they say, we'll meet you at the ski lodge. And so after a lot more scenes of people skiing, Takeshi and Machiko, they arrive at the cabin with Nakata, and they're just in time as the caretaker of the cabin. He brings him in and says, "Ooh, there's a big storm a-coming." And so we cut to later, and a big storm has showed up. And, the guy who runs the hiking cabin they're at, he keeps trying to call these Kiyoshi's buddies' cabin, and nobody's answering. And that's weird. And he kind of gives up. And Takashi says, "Well, I'll try." And so he tries it a few times, and then he kind of gives up. And then Machiko looks out the window and goes, "Ah," because there's a furry person walking outside. Well, it's not a furry person. It's a lady named Chika. And Chika is a member of an unnamed village that is in the woods, and this village is very backwards and they shun outsiders. And at this point, I have to cut over to the American version because there's a delightful little bit of dialogue there where one of the guys asks John Caradine, "So were they savages?" And he says, "Well, not in the sense of they didn't eat their dead, but I'm like, what is that?" They asked you if they were cannibals. I mean, my God. So anyway, there were a few things that I would call problematic in this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they weren't savages. They don't eat their dead, but apparently they were depicted poorly enough that Toho had some issues with the film in Japan. Anyway, back to the story. So about that time, the phone rings, and they're like, "What's going on?" And Machiko picks it up, and there's a scream, and she drops the phone. And then Takeshi picks it up, and then he hears a scream, and they hear, all this stuff is going on, and there's like a gunshot, and then an avalanche happens. And holy cats, the whole thing's bad. So the caretaker of the cabin starts ringing the bell that I guess brings the police, which I don't know how that worked in the middle of a snowstorm. But anyway, the next day the weather clears, and so we have a lot more scenes of people hiking. And so after a really long extended scene of a bunch of people hiking, they get to the cabin, and Kiyoshi is missing. But Jin and Kaji, the two other people that were in the cabin, are dead. And Jin is dead inside while Kaji's body was kind of outside in the snow. And it looked like they were both attacked by something much stronger than a man. And at that point, they find a big old footprint. And this is very reminiscent of, back in the 50s, there was that thing where some explorers in Napal, I think it was, they were in the Himalayas or whatever, and they found these giant footprints in the snow, and it kind of started the Yeti craze in the 50s.
Yeah, I got to tell you real quick.
Movie.
Yeah, the Hammer film from 1959, The Abominable Snowman from Hammer with Peter Cushing, had scenes of the snow like that, like you mentioned, Nick.
Yeah, that's why they decided to make the Yeti the next monster at Toho.
And it makes sense. That's why you suddenly had a bunch of these films, just like you had a whole mess of flying saucer films in the 50s because of the incident at Roswell, which, by the way, I've been to Roswell and there was an alien craft, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. Anyway.
Yes.
So
there's footsteps in the snow.
What, who, huh?
There's footsteps in the snow, and wasn't there fur?
Well, there was some fur, too, and I was getting to it, Mary, but you done cut me off.
I'm sorry.
But yes, it's all right. They found some samples of fur, and, the police guy that's with them he's a terrible cop. He's just like, obviously somebody was wearing a fur coat. Oh, okay, obviously. So anyway, they go looking, and what they determine is, there's no sign of Kiyoshi, so we're just going to have to call it a day and come back when the snow thaws. And at that point, Machiko breaks down crying because she realizes her brother's dead, most likely, and that's sad. By the way, I kind of forgot the whole fact that this is all being told in a flashback. So the film actually opens in a train station while this group of people is waiting for a train. One of them's head's all bandaged. Everybody looks like they've had a really, really bad day. And this guy who just happens to be a reporter comes in, and he sits down with them. And the first thing he does is lean on a table, put his coat down, and it turns out that the box that was already on the table is the remains of Kiyoshi. And it's like, Michiko's like, those are the remains of my brother. She's like, ah. So that kind of sets the stage. By the way, at what point did they run to a crematorium and get his body cremated and put in that little box?
Why didn't he cremate the other guy?
Because, okay, well,
Koji.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And, okay, here's why. Kaji and Din, who they found, that was 6 months earlier, Mary. So they probably did. They probably did cremate them and whatever, but that was off camera.
Yeah. Okay, that makes
sense.
So
remember, this opens up 6 months later when the party's coming back from when they went looking after the thaw.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, the reporter gets all nosy and bugs them until they start telling him the story. And so flash forward, the cops say, we're going to have to wait till the snow thaws. Machiko starts crying. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And then 6 months later, Takeshi and Machiko are back. But now anthropologist Professor Koizumi is on the case because he's curious about the deaths, but also he wants to find this half-human creature that he has heard rumored lives in the remote mountains of central Japan. Anyway.
They also had Shinsuke Takano, Machiko's younger brother. He was in the second party. Yeah. Because there's a scene at the very end of the movie where he's crying over his brother's remains, and they're saying Shinsuke, and I'm going, who the hell is Shinsuke?
No,
they
that's
bother
true.
telling you that.
You're right. I kind of forgot some of the brothers. So here's what we learned. They had a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Their parents loved each other very much. So anyway. And okay, you've derailed me, Mary. Congratulations. Okay, so in addition to the group that Koizumi's put together that is ostensibly there to find Kiyoshi, but really Koizumi's purpose is to find the Abominable Snowman. Well, turns out that he's not the only person interested. There's also an unscrupulous, and I think they describe him as an owner of a circus in the American version. In the Japanese version, he's kind of an animal broker who buys and sells exotic animals. And he and his gang of thugs, his name was Oba, by the way, he and his gang of thugs want to capture the Yeti so they can sell it. And they figure the easiest way to do that's going to be to follow Koizumi's group so they don't have to do any work. So anyhow, Koizumi's group goes hiking into the mountains, and they start heading down into a ravine, and oh no, the guides refuse to go any further because it's like a bad cursed valley or something. And at that point, Koizumi and the other guys are like, oh, come on, this isn't real. And then there's an avalanche, and one of the guys is hurt really bad. And so they're like, we're out of here, guys. So they take...
Did the Yeti do that?
Probably.
Did he?
Because remember, they found a dead bear.
Yeah.
And the bear had not been killed by a gunshot. It had been ripped up.
Yeah.
And about that time, the avalanche happened. So, yeah, I'm going to say, or not an avalanche, I guess a rock slide.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that was supposed to be the beast.
Okay.
Anyway, they carry on without the guides. And that later that night, they've set up camp. And Machiko's all like, I'm sleepy. I'm going to go sleep. And while she's sleeping, the Abominable Snowman comes a creeping into the camp. And he's like, these guys brought a chick. And so he goes reaching in and starts touching her face, and she wakes up and gets screaming and all that. And they go running out, and Takeshi goes chasing after the creature, and he,
leaves her,
has a bad fall, and oops, he's lost his rifle, fell down a ravine, got up, got back, tried to find his way back to camp, ends up at Oba's camp. Oba's men beat the crap out of him and toss him into another ravine where Chica, the lady from the start of the film, finds him, and she brings him back to her village. Unfortunately for Takeshi, her village is full of people who really don't like outsiders, and to the point that they say that she's brought a curse upon them, lay the smackdown on Chica, and the old man who runs the village, who's supposed to be her grandfather, I think, he beats her a little bit, then says, now you got to take a sacrifice up to the master's cave, because apparently this group worships the Abominable Snowman. So she ends up taking a dead goat to the cave and dropping it off for him. While she's doing that, the people in the village string Takeshi up and hang him off a cliff so he can be eaten by vultures. That's pretty crappy.
Yeah, he's
hanging there waiting to get it. And what happens? The Abominable Snowman comes up. And he's like, what's that? There's a perfectly good guy hanging down there. I'm just going to haul him up. So, the Abominable Snowman hauls him back up, unties him, which seems awfully polite, and then just sort of picks up the animal he was carrying and goes wandering off. He's like, okay, I'm done. And so Takeshi's like, what? This is crazy. And meanwhile, Grandpa's been beating on Chica, and everybody's kind of unhappy right now. Well, Takeshi manages to find his way back to his band of people. Meanwhile, Chica's run off, and she runs smack dab into Oba's group. And she assumes that they're with Koizumi's party. And so she's like, hey, where's Takeshi? He was kind of hot. I want to talk to him. And he's like, I will tell you where we are, but you have to show me where the Abominable Snowman lives. And he gives her a ring as sort of a trinket, a piece of, hey, trust me, I'll be back for this. And so she shows him where the cave is. Oba discovers that not only is the snowman in there, but the snowman's got a kid. And so he decides to capture the snowman's kid as a way of capturing the snowman. Well, that works. Unfortunately, the kid gets away. But the kid decides to do some Indiana Jones stuff, and he jumps on the cage, and as they're driving down the road, and manages to wake Dad up, and then Dad's all like, hey, and they stop, and they capture the kid, and they throw the kid in there with them, and then Dad's like, hey, I'm really mad now, and he reaches through, because here's the thing, if you're transporting a large ape-like creature, and it's really pissed off, maybe you shouldn't have a window right there where it could just reach through and grab the driver by the neck. Because sure enough, it reaches through, grabs the driver by the neck, makes him wreck the car. The truck that's following with Oba's other men gets into a car crash, and then a miniature goes flying off a model cliff and blows up. And oh my God, the humanity! And so at this point, Oba gets out. And he's like, I'm going to kill you because, the guy's wrecked his truck and all this. And Oba starts shooting at the monster, and he kills the kid. Pretty tragic. So we have a moment where the monster's all like, you shot my kid. And he's pissed. Yeah. So he goes over and grabs Oba and throws Oba off the cliff. And then, just in case the 100-foot fall into a ravine didn't kill him, the monster tips his truck over and drops it on top of him, too. So, yeah, Oba's well and truly dead. And then, the creature picks up the body of its kid and takes it back to its cave. And then after it's put its body in the cave, it goes on a murder spree. And that's the thing. Takeshi's back at his camp saying, hey, this thing saved me. It's real nice. Meanwhile, it's, out there. Oh, and I kind of forgot that Grandpa got shot by Oba because Grandpa tried to stop him from taking the creatures and yada, yada, yada. the creature goes on a rampage in the village, and in the American version, they said it just killed everybody. And the Japanese version, it just says it scared everybody off and they left except Chica. So about that time, the Abominable Snowman hits the Koizumi's group while they're all out looking for the Abominable Snowman, except they didn't take Machiko. And Machiko's back at the camp going, la, la, la. And, Abominable Snowman knocks her out, picks her up and carries her off. And the group comes back and figures out that she's been taken. Chica shows up and she's going to help them find it. They get to the cave. There's a whole lot of walking and a whole lot of looking around the cave. And they find Kyoshi's body. And it turns out that the Abominable Snowman had found him in the snow and he was dying. And the Abominable Snowman had taken him back to the cave and nursed him back to health, except he didn't do a very good job nursing him back to health because dude died of starvation laying there. But it was the thought that counts.
Yeah, he brought him food. He just didn't.
Well, he brought him food, but he was too weak to eat it.
Yeah.
Which I'm calling some BS on that because dude was sitting there making notes.
Yeah.
It's like if you're sitting there making notes, you could eat a cheeseburger.
Well, it's probably raw goat or something. He just didn't.
So what, Barry? If you're starving to death, you'll eat your raw goat.
That's true.
And you'll thank him for it. You'll say, thank you, sir. May I have another?
Yes.
Come on. But I'm digressing.
Yes.
So the creature, once again, it has Machiko. They find it. It's threatening to throw her into a very conveniently located shaft that ends in boiling water at the bottom, I guess molten something. And so Chica says, look, let me go up because maybe he won't attack me because I'm a woman. And so Chica goes up to the monster and the monster drops Machiko. And then Chica tries to stab it and the monster's like, rah! And they end up shooting the monster, and the monster, in a fit of rage, I guess, whatever, grabs Chica, and they both fall into the pit and never to be seen again.
Yes.
And at that point, we cut back to the train station, and everybody's like, oh, man, that's a great story. And then they all start smiling and leave. It's very weird.
Yes. Oh, and then there's poison mushrooms in the cave.
Dinosaurs came, but they got big and fat, so they died. Then the Arabs came, and they bought Mercedes-Benzes. What? No. What happened then?
No, all the Yetis died off because of the poison mushrooms. You forgot that part.
Who cares?
There aren't any more Yetis. That's okay.
Although, I'm going to say, Mary, you really fixated on the poison mushroom thing.
I fixated on the Yeti. I really liked him. It did that whole King Kong, Godzilla thing where at first you're scared of the monster and then you just really feel bad for it.
Oh. Well, I felt bad for him because it's tough to be completely covered in fur and still have male pattern baldness. I mean, that is just rough.
That's wrong. Yeah, that is.
So, anyway, decent movie.
Yes. I really liked it.
I liked it. I found the American version to be very annoying.
Yes.
And it did leave out all the character development. Yeah. I mean, even if you go on IMDb and look up the American version half human, instead of having the character names, they are credited as the boy, the girl, skier number 1. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Come on.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, John Caradine's character is supposed to be a professor who got them to recount this tale to him. He could name the people.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm digressing.
Yeah.
So
I might get around to doing a cheat sheet with everybody's names on it and who they are and how they're related to each other, because that would have helped me.
Putting way too much work into this, Mary.
I was so confused the first time I watched the movie because I didn't know.
How many times you watched the movie?
Like 3 times.
Oh my Lord!
Yeah, I couldn't get the storyline right. I just couldn't.
You really enjoyed it.
I really did. I mean, well, the scenes where they were skiing, I kind of would fast forward through. And walking.
So, in other words, you fast forwarded through 45 minutes of the movie.
Well, after you've seen it, and it's like I said, if it hadn't been so blurry and dark, I would have really, really loved it.
Yeah, well, maybe they'll. Who knows? Maybe they'll
No.
come out with a better release of it. You know, I mean, I doubt they'll release it commercially because Toho. That's one of the movies. That's just like taking Song of the South and releasing it commercially. Disney's Song of the South. You know,
Yeah.
you'll never see that movie released.
Big disclaimer on the front of it and say, if you're going to be offended by this, don't watch it. This is just.
Well, Mary, there's technically one of those on just about every movie that's ever released. That doesn't really do much.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
I'm gonna
One of
say
one of the things I really enjoyed, though, I mean, that I liked myself, you could see the human nature of the creature, where you know he really didn't want to kill everybody. He saved Takachi. You know, Takachi's hanging with the rope, and he pulls him up, and Takachi thought he was dead meat already. He was gonna grab him and kill him and throw him off the cliff, but he didn't. You know, he actually pulled him up and saved his life and left him there, and he went on. You know, so that's like the human side of the creature, where he wasn't really, hey, look, I don't want to kill you. I don't want to just leave. Don't bother me. Leave my kid alone. And everything will be kosher. But it didn't happen that way.
Well, and if you want to go down that road, I mean, really, the monster was the most human character in it in a lot of ways, because at the end of the day, all the humans were there for their own selfish reasons. You know, the monster's just like, look, I just want to hang out, man. That's all I want.
Yeah, I just want to get some goats and feed my son.
That's it. And instead, he done got shot.
I know.
And knocked into a pit of boiling muddy water.
Yeah.
This movie has a little bit of comparison. If you watch, have you seen the Hammer film of the Abominable Snowman, Mary? Nick?
No, I don't think so.
Well, we did it on the podcast back in the day, but
you need to watch that one, because there's a lot of similarities with that Abominable Snowman movie from Hammer to this one.
Yeah.
You could see a lot of them, like the creature lives in a cave and has a family, and it's like, and they're in camp. They're trying to find them, the footprint, all these things. You know what I mean? And you look at that one and you look at this one, and wow, that's very similar to the storyline. So I don't know if Hammer ripped off the idea from Toho, which more than likely he did, because Hammer's film was from 1958 or 59.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to watch that one too. Watch that one from,
or go back and listen to the original episode on the B Movie Cast.
Yeah,
I must have watched it at some point. I just don't remember it. I have to say, this is one movie where we usually say we're not going to, we're not going to tell you the end.
I think people should know by now that we're just going to spoil the hell out of it.
But I think this one you'd be better off listening to the podcast first, because then the storyline will be easier to follow when you're watching the movie.
You're not giving people enough credit, Mary.
It's because I had such a hard time following it.
Exactly.
Yeah. There have to be other people.
You're not giving people enough credit, Mary.
Have to.
All right, last thoughts.
Good movie. I liked it.
Great. Thank you, Mary.
Yes, thank you, Juan.
Good. It didn't suck.
Yes. So,
high praise.
Yes. So, are we ready for feedback?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. There's not a whole lot. There's an email from Paul White from Canada. And he said, this is an easy one. The Great Nightmare Alley from 1947. And he said, then he writes back and says, I just heard I won the contest. I'm in the States for another week, so hopefully my prize gets there before I leave. And the only reason I'm reading this is because if you're listening, if you didn't get it before you left for Canada, then have wherever you were staying, send it back to me and I will forward it to you in Canada, because I feel bad that I didn't get it out in time before you left.
Wow, Mary, you suck.
I know. And this next one's from Patrick Kelly. It says,
Patrick,
pardon me while I pull down my copy of The Woman in the Window and give it another look-see before I listen to you and Nick and Santitito weigh in on it. I can't remember the last time I watched this one, The only things I remember about The Woman in the Window are it's a noir, it stars Eddie G, and I liked it a lot. So I'll catch you at the clubhouse in about 90 minutes. and then he wrote back and said that he just got done seeing Dune Part 2 a few weeks ago, and because I told him I'd seen it, and I was really surprised at how much I liked Dune 2. I can't. I've been looking, and they're talking about doing a Dune 3, and I can't wait for it. I thought it was great.
Dune 2 Electric Boogaloo is one of my favorite things.
I tried watching Dune, the original, the 1984 one.
I like that one.
I don't.
I'm guessing you did.
It's got that 1980s feel that.
Well, that's because it was made in the 1980s, Mary.
Those movies that you like, that we've done quite a few on the podcast now. The sparkly guy in the gold suit.
The sparkly guy in the gold suit.
Yeah, he had big hair and a gold suit. It's just the sound and...
Sweet Mary, Mother of Joseph. Mary, what are you talking about?
I don't remember the name of the movie.
Megaforce?
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Motorcycles?
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Yeah, Megaforce. Okay, it took me a second from your description. I'm like, did you do cocaine or something?
Jumpsuit. That's all I remember from the movie, gold jumpsuit.
Okay, well, we'll just have to do another episode on it now, Mary, because you need to have Megaforce in your heart. Megaforce lives in your heart, Mary.
It won't. That jumpsuit might in my memory, but anyway.
And just remember, Mary, the good guys always win.
Oh, okay.
Even in the 80s.
Okay. Well, Patrick writes back and he said he had trouble with part 1 of Dune, as well as the 1984 David Lynch version. But he said part 2 is a feast for the eyes and the ears, isn't it? And it was, yeah, it was loud. My seat was actually rumbling.
Mary's comment. Well, it was loud.
My seat was actually moving. It was so loud. They had some good bass in that thing. Anyway, he goes on to say he enjoyed Lady in the Window podcast. Or did I? Maybe it was all a dream. Let me pinch myself. Ouch. Nope. I'm wide awake. I guess I really did enjoy the podcast. Kenny B is a huge asset, as are all your co-hosts. I look forward to Ken coming back with more noir. And that was from Pat. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Patrick.
All right, Pat.
And let's see. Don Falcos, as you know, Patrick was not able to get my most recent prize through Amazon because Patrick always buys them through Amazon, ships them out, and writes a little card with it. But he did find it available through eBay. So he sent the one through eBay to Don. And Don got the package, and he said, amusingly, when the package arrived, I saw that the return address was less than 2 blocks from my house.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
That is funny.
Yeah. Well, he has a new friend now. Somebody that likes the same movies. Yay. Okay, and this next one's from Pete Steam. It says, looking forward to your Honda stuff and hearing Juan.
Yeah. Thank you.
And we have 2 emails. Excuse me. We have 2 voicemails, I'm sorry. They're from the same person. It's Captain Billy. And he's very angry.
Hey, group. Hey, kids. Captain Billy here. A couple of comments about this last episode, the Thing episode. First of all, can everyone let Mary talk? Can Mary voice her opinion without being bulldozed over by a couple of big bully men? Especially Mark. In my opinion, Mark was very rude to Mary. For a guy who likes, quote-unquote, ambiguous endings, unquote, he had a lot of opinions about exactly what happened before and what happened after. And for a guy who's... Look, Mark's fine. Mark has the gift of gab. That's why you have him on. He does all this fantastic stuff. I have my opinion about Mark, or we're going to leave it there. But this particular episode, Mark was incredibly rude to Mary. He was downright mean to her, telling her how she was wrong and she's making things too complicated. It's a movie. It's all beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I went out purposely. I was going to buy that new copy of Thing when it came out. If it was a Scout Factory or something like that. I went and got it from the library instead of the Blu-ray, and I had the interviews and all that stuff. I liked the whole thing top to bottom. I like the Thing. I don't like enough to spend $22.95 on it. So I'm glad I didn't buy it. But for a guy, like I said, but Mark, man, this is the way it is. This is the way it is. And there's no other way, and I'm right, and you're wrong. What a comic book guy. Holy cow. Wow. It's like I said, I literally just turned off the podcast before I called, so this is very fresh in my brain, and I believe Mark was incredible. And Mark owes Mary an apology, and Nick, you didn't help any. Nothing against you, Nick. Again, I like you guys. You're an interesting show, but like I said, it just really struck me as odd, just the way everyone ganged up on Mary and told her she was wrong. So, you know how the movie ends? I'm going to tell you how this movie ends. There's two guys sitting on the ice staring at each other. That's how the movie ends. Who cares? Anyone would get wound up about how a movie... You know what was inside the briefcase in Pulp Fiction? Who cares? That's what's in the briefcase. Nobody cares. That's the whole point. It's fun, but there's no reason to fight about it and yell at somebody that they were wrong about their opinion. It's all opinion. Boy, I was going to say some other stuff, but I just had to come in and call him. Great show, guys. If I think of something else to say, I'll call back. Keep up the good work. Bye.
Aww.
Wow.
Sweet.
Hey, group.
That was sweet. Thank you.
That was sweet
for me. Yes. And he called back. And here's the second one.
The group, Captain Billy again. Now I remember what I was going to say. I have my own opinions about the Thing and the alien and what he's doing there and all that business. I don't think the Thing built that spaceship. I think the Thing assimilated the culture that built that spaceship, and that's why it crash landed. Because I don't know, but I assume when you take over another organism, you don't necessarily take over everything in their brain. And perhaps something happened where the brains were damaged, and he didn't know how to fly it, and that's why it crashed. Does he want to leave? I don't know if he wants to leave. I don't know. I don't think the assimilation process is always perfect. Remember, they always get very quiet, and maybe not all brain function is there. Because I was thinking, okay, he takes over the Earth. It's going to take 3 years. Now what? The theory is that he's going to build a spaceship and leave Earth. Well, we have the technology to build stuff to go to the moon. We don't have the technology to fly across the country, to fly across the universe. Well, I don't know. If he assimilates all the knowledge on Earth, that doesn't mean he's going to be smart enough to build a spaceship. I don't think he was smart enough to build a spaceship in the first place. So I don't know if he wants to take over the Earth. I mean, if you think about it, he was real happy just... You're better off, if you don't know what you're doing, you're better off laying low and slowly doing stuff and then trying to take a giant... Once you start trying to take over the Earth, they're going to try to kill you. If you stay underground and you stay as quietly as possible, you can live a long time hiding in the shadows. So that makes more sense. So he was trying to assimilate, he was lashing out and all that, but if he's a thinking creature, and it might not be that thinking of a creature, it could be like aliens where it's all just impulse, it's all just I can't think of the word, but it's just all automatic, like an ant. You know, I got A, I got B, I can do C, and that's all they do. So alien, like in the alien movies, those things eat and they attack, but they're giant bugs. Someone said that at some point. They're just giant insects. They have a very basic brain function. They know enough to reproduce. So that's what this thing knows, is enough to reproduce. I don't think the alien has enough brains. Maybe you're going to say the thing he's trying to build a spaceship. Okay, but like I said, I saw it 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember all the details. Honestly, when you guys mentioned building a spaceship, that part of the movie, I saw it in the 80s. We watched it in the 80s a bunch of times.
Wow.
Like I said, I hadn't seen it in 30 years. Watched it again 3 or 4 years ago. So, and like I said, I like it. I don't love it. It's good. I'm not going to argue. And everyone who loves it and thinks it's the end of the world, hey, God, more power to you. But and Mark or somebody else mentioned that, Nick or Mark mentioned that at one point they looked at their DVD collection and realized they were a John Carpenter collector. That's the exact thing happened to me. I looked at my DVDs. I've got 3 or 4 different versions of Halloween, and there, a little bit down the shelf in the action adventure movies is Big Trouble in Little China, and here's Assault on Precinct 13. Assault on the New York one. I can't remember that. We get for like a title, but I'm like, oh my God, I like John Carpenter movies. What? I'm a John Carpenter collector. I didn't realize. So But I don't think aliens wanted to take over the Earth. I think he was just trying to just get by. I think the thing about Mary insisted that, okay, if the blood is frozen, if it melts, it comes back to life. And there's blood on the ice, and a penguin picks up some of this blood on its feet, and it warms up that blood. Yes, if it lives on a cellular, if every cell is as smart as the entire being, yeah, Mary's theory is right. One drop of blood on a penguin's foot could bring the alien back to life. It is entirely possible. Would the alien live long enough to, assimilate dogs? So yeah, you could assimilate penguins. So again, how long? Like we don't. The movie is vague enough that everyone throws all these theories out.
Yeah.
Like I said, my theory is if the alien is, if the further the alien spreads itself out, the more it dilutes itself. And the more diluted it is, the less brain power it's going to be able to operate. So theoretically, if it takes over the entire Earth, all it's going to be able to do is, all the humans are going to sit around and drool. We're not going to be any smarter. Again, they're no smarter than an ant. So, yeah, using that theory, it may not be an intelligent life form. It's just a bug trying to get by. Like a flu. It's like the flu. It just infects you and moves on. It just infects you, and maybe it doesn't want to take over the flu. It doesn't want to take over the Earth, because the flu takes over the Earth. It kills all the food, and now so the alien is a flu, and it just wants to live. It doesn't want to kill everything. It just wants to survive from season to season, from year to year. So there. That's Captain Billy's theory, and I am Lord High Almighty of John Carpenter's movies, so my theory is right, and everybody else is wrong, and I'm going to shut you down if you don't agree with me. Keep up the good work, guys. Bye.
Okay, first thing I'm going to say that was me that looked at the collection and said, holy crap, I'm a John Carpenter fan, collector and whatnot. Second, you're right, Captain Billy. We were hard on Mary, and I apologize to Mary for that.
That was a good voicemail. Really that.
It's wound up.
Good.
But I got to tell you one thing: between the 1982 version of The Thing and the original the original 1951 version of the Thing, or the Thing from Another World,
I like that one.
What's that?
I like that one the best.
That's my preferred version.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that the concept is there. It's a spaceship that crashes in the Arctic, and they discover, and they bring they take the alien creature and they bring it back, and they defrost the creature and he comes back to life. There's blood themes involved in there. You know what I'm talking about? The electric blankets they used to bring him back to life.
Mm-hmm.
And then the creature feeds on carnivorous plants or blood. So, the plasma from the blood, so forth, he's trying to find it, and he goes around rampaging on the base. But the gore stuff, the horror stuff, where you're saying, well, we're going to find out which one here, the brain eats whatever, the creature, but the blood samples. But the John Carpenter version is really cool. Don't get me wrong, guys. I like that one too, but my preferred one is the original Thing from Another World from 1951. That's my all-time favorite.
Yeah, me too. But that's
Enough said on that.
I like old black and white movies like that. So
Anyway,
I think on that note, we ought to go before I start sneezing again.
Yeah, I'm going to say you're going to start sneezing again. So.
Yes,
any more voicemails?
No, that's it. That's it.
Oh,
that's the end of the feedback. So.
Hey Nick, I got to tell you did a great job, man, doing the plot summary and the narration on that one, man. Good job on it.
Oh, thanks, brother.
That was confusing.
Yeah, no, he managed to pull it through, but because of the fact that you see your knowledge of the Japanese, the names and stuff, it was so easy for you to comprehend all that and mention the names, and you didn't get wound up with some of the Mexican horror ones that we do. You can't figure out, Jose from Juan and Juan from Jose and that kind of stuff,
Yeah, it's true.
No, that's I have a little more experience with Japan than I do with Mexico. Yeah. So that's my Ballywick, and yours is the Mexican, cinema stuff. So it's all good.
Great, man. So Mary, thank you for doing this, man. This version of the half human. I mean, for the listeners that are out there that listen to this podcast and haven't had a chance to see the original Japanese print of that, by all means, please go to my website, www.fifthdimensionfilms.net, and order yourself a copy. Yes. I will also have copies of the film at Monster Bash in July of this year and at Chiller Theater in about 3 weeks. I'll be up in Chiller Theater and I'll have copies there for those of you that live in the Jersey, Baltimore, New York area and go to Chiller. I will be there.
Cool. Great.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you both for putting up with my sneezing and putting up with my movie choices.
No problem. Thank you for having me, Mary. Looking forward for the next one, man, okay?
Yep. See you soon.
All right, guys.
Okay, bye.
Adios, Mafia.
Well, they've gone.
For good, John?
No, just for now. It wasn't the right time for us to meet. But there'll be other nights, other stars for us to watch. They'll be back.
The ghosts are moving tonight, restless, hungry.
All right, fellas, here's your story.
Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And we cannot keep this a secret any longer.
Wait, Captain. I have found evidence of intelligent beings on this planet.
Look to the skies. It's the B-Movie Cookbook. Menus inspired by 15 of your favorite B-movies from the 1950s, with teenage werewolves, blobs, and enough cheese for everyone.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
But until then, we've got Ed Wood and Vincent Price.
There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
So impress your friends with dinner and a movie with the B-Movie Cookbook. We've got you covered. Get your copy today at bmoviecookbook.com. That's bmoviecookbook.com.
Let me see that book. I am interested to see what sways your mind so heavily.
Sure thing. Just visit bmoviecookbook.com.
Anybody around here want some coffee?
Transmission.
The good guys always win, even in the 80s.